Welcome to the National History Day 2018 webinar series. My name is Joanna Bringhurst, and I am the National History Day in Idaho coordinator. This is a new project for us at National History Day in Idaho doing webinars, and we are going to have 3 for you this fall, and hopefully we'll do more in the spring as contest season rolls around. If you are participating and watching from home, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully this will help you implement National History Day in Idaho in your classroom. So let's get started. Let me tell you a little bit about National History Day's beginnings to get you oriented to the program. National History Day was founded in 1974 at Case Western Reserve University. At the time, the Vietnam War was winding up, and some history professors at Case Western thought to themselves, gee, wouldn't it be great if we had learned any lessons at all from history and we weren't in this situation? And they realized that we, as a nation, really haven't done a very good job of creating an informed citizenry by educating students about their own history. So they created National History Day as a way of doing that, to create an informed citizenry so that we can have a really healthy, functioning democracy. So the national program has been operating since 1974, and Idaho has been a part of the program for 33 years. The Idaho State Historical Society is the sponsor for the program here in Idaho, and that's where my office is located at the Idaho State Historical Museum. The structure of National History Day in Idaho is that we have 3 divisions. The Youth Division, which is 4th and 5th grade, Junior Division, 6th through 8, and then the Senior Division is 9th through 12th grade. The Youth Division competes at the regional level and the state level, but they do not move on to nationals. However, juniors and seniors who win at the state contest are invited to compete at the national contest. So the purpose of National History Day is to go through the research process as an actual professional historian would. Each year we have a different annual theme. This year's theme is Conflict and Compromise in History. Last year's theme was Taking a Stand in History. All of the themes are intentionally broad so that you can have a wide variety of topic ideas, but narrow enough that you really have to analyze how your topic fits in with the theme. So then students select topics that fit in with the theme. They do background research for historical context, then they narrow their topic even further, and then they do research with primary and secondary sources. Then they analyze and interpret those sources and create a thesis statement where they're making an arguable claim about how their topic fits in history and how it's relevant to history. So and then they create an entry after they do all this research. And there are 5 types of entries: papers, documentaries, websites, performance, and exhibit. Every entry can be done with a group or an individual, except for paper. You can't write a paper as a group, just as an individual. And the entry categories are really cool because no matter what kind of student you have in your classroom, they can find an entry type that works for them. If you have a kid who loves to be in front of people, loves to be the center of attention, a performance is great for them. And if you have a kid who loves computers and technology and likes to be behind the scenes, maybe a website or a documentary is the best fit for them. But no matter what, they can find something where they can be successful with their skill set. The finale of the NHD program are the competitions. Here in Idaho, we have 6 regions, so there are 6 regional contests during the month of March. And the winners of the regional contests are invited to attend the state contest at the College of Idaho, which will be held on April 14th this year. Then our winners at the state contest are invited to the national contest, which is at the University of Maryland in Baltimore. And this year it will be June 10th through the 14th. So let's talk about how to get started implementing National History Day in your classroom. If you're watching this webinar, you're already motivated to be a part of the program, and I want to help you get going in your classroom successfully and not feel like you are drowning in too much work, because the purpose of the program is to make it work for you in your classroom, not to add all of these extra work all this extra work and steps that you have to go through. So let's get started with making a game plan. Students and grading. So when you're making a game plan, basically you need to plan out how you are going to make National History Day work in your classroom. One of the benefits of this program is that it's really flexible. So let's talk about students and grading. Which students or classes are you going to have participate in National History Day? Will the project be optional or required? Will it be a big part of their grade, a small part of their grade? Most importantly, when is the project going to be completed? Are you going to do it mostly during class time, mostly outside of class time, or split time between the two? If you don't have a lot of class time, it's okay to have students work on their project at home. They can do research in class and then do more research at home. They can create their entry in class and finish it up at home. Whatever works best for you, make it work. Also, are you going to allow your students to work in groups or not? What is the size of group that you're going to allow, and can they work with other students from other classes? Some teachers do not let their students work in a group. They want each student to be graded individually. Some teachers allow students to work in a group. According to the rules, you can have as many as 5 people in a group, but a lot of teachers think that's too much, and so they say you can work with 2 people maximum or 3 people maximum. You get to set the rules for your class. It can be complicated if you have friends in 2 different periods that want to work together. So you can allow that if you want, but it generally works better if they're in the same class period. Topic options. So for National History Day, all topics and all types of history are welcome. Art history, science history, sports history, all are welcome. But if you are a U.S. history teacher, you can say you only get to pick U.S. history topics. If you are a 4th or 5th grade teacher covering Idaho history, you can say only Idaho topics. You can limit your students as you need to fit your curriculum and your standards that you're trying to hit. Will you allow students, multiple groups or students, to cover the same topic? That can be tricky. If you want to let the kids have free reign and pick topics that they're passionate about, that's great, but it's not typically a good idea to have your students competing directly against each other by having the same topic. It can narrow both of their chances of doing well in the contest because they are competing right against each other with their topic. And it's easier for judges to compare topics that are the same. Okay, what about collaboration and support? Who at your school do you need to collaborate with? Do you need to use the school library? Do you need computer lab time? Are there local public libraries or colleges or universities that you can use? What about parent support? A lot of teachers like to have students sign a contract with the teacher and with the parents saying, this is the topic I've selected, I'm going to do this type of entry, and sign it so that parents and the student and the teacher are all comfortable with the topic and the entry type. Also, maybe sending home a letter explaining all the details of the program and how much time will be required at home at the beginning of the year to parents. That's a great way of getting their support and their ability to collaborate. Did you want to have a showcase at your school or a parent night where parents can come to the school and see the work your students have done, kind of like a practice run before their first contest? All these things are things you want to think about and plan for before you get started. What about the competition cycle? You are not required to participate in the competitions. Obviously, I recommend that you do because it's a really rewarding opportunity for your students to participate in the contest, but maybe they have other pulls on their time and it just wouldn't work to do the contest. That's up to you. Look up which region you're in and figure out when your deadlines are for your first regional contest, where it is, and how you're going to get students there. Do you need to get a bus to take students, or are you going to tell kids to just get there on their own time? Make sure you think about that and plan that out ahead of time. If you have any questions about making a game plan, there is a game plan worksheet in the teacher toolkit at my website. That will help you as you're doing planning. So the benefit for you for making a game plan is that you are thinking in advance about all the things that you need to fall into place to make the program work. If you go into it already knowing I need the Chromebooks, I need time at the library, I need a bus, I need parent support, then you can get that all planned out ahead of time, and that will really help you your first year get everything implemented and kind of narrow the bumps in the road for you. Step number 2 is to create a timeline. This is how you're going to map out your time for the year. Basically, there's 5 steps to the process. You're going to teach kids the skills they need to know, to research, to select a topic. Then they're going to spend time looking at topics, doing a little bit of research and narrowing down their topic. Then you'll do the research, then they will create their entry, and then you'll participate in the contest. So you want to break your time out over these 5 steps in the process. So the first thing to do is work backwards. Start with the date of your regional contest deadlines and count back. So if you are in the Treasure Valley region, you know your first deadline is, I think it's February 24th. So you know everything has to be done and wrapped up by February 24th. So go to a calendar, look at February 24th, and then count back from there. Let's also talk about dividing your time into pieces. So you know you need to be done by February 24th. So count back how many weeks before February 24th you need to go through the process. This chart breaks it down over the course of 6 weeks, 10 weeks, or 15 weeks. Typically 10 weeks is about the average time that teachers spend on National History Day. You can definitely do it in a shorter amount of time and a longer amount of time, but that's kind of like a good point for us to work from. So you know that you need to count 10 weeks back from February 24th. And this is how you're going to break up that time. 1 week introducing the National History process and the theme, 1 week exploring the topic and selecting a topic. Then the bulk of their time will be spent in research. So you want 2 to 5 weeks, hopefully 3 to 4 weeks just on research. Then they're going to spend a week on their thesis statement and wrapping up their research. Then they'll spend a whole week planning and outlining and organizing their entry. And then about 2 weeks creating the entry, writing the process paper, and their bibliography. So now that you've divided your time into pieces, you can count back how many weeks you need to break it into each of these pieces. So then create a calendar for each week that you're doing National History Day. Include all the information, lesson plans, work time, important deadlines, milestones. This is just a quick example of if I needed to be done March 2nd, because that's when I was submitting all of my stuff, I counted back 10 weeks, and then I broke it out accordingly. You want to take this and then fill it out with which lesson plans you want to do and when kids have graded milestone assignment deadlines, all kinds of things. I have for you in the teacher toolkit on my website several examples of timelines, and these will be really helpful to you if you want to see what other teachers are doing. This teacher has written down the date, what the goal of work is to accomplish in that time period, and then what the students' responsibilities and teachers' responsibilities are during that time. Another timeline that I like, this teacher has written down what product is due and when it's due, what they're required to turn in, and how many points it's worth. So as students are going through the process, okay, I have to have my topic proposal done October 7th, and that's worth 30 points. So this shows the kids what they need to have done as you go along. Things to be aware of. Different entry types have different deadlines. So papers and websites are judged by the judges ahead of time of the contest. It can take a while to read through 10 papers for a judge, so we try and give them 2 weeks to be able to read papers and then to look at the website. So keep that in mind that if you plan for everyone to be done February 24th, but it turns out the papers and websites are due the 12th, make sure that you are clear on when all the deadlines are so those kids aren't at a disadvantage and miss the deadline. Snow days. Snowmageddon was a beast last year, and I had lots of teachers who had planned to do all their entry creation after the Christmas break, and they were not able to compete because they just ran out of time to get it done because of the snow days. So there will probably be snow this year, so plan for that. Also, you don't want to be rushed at the end. That causes so much stress for you and for students. If you've got 3 days to get the entries done and everyone's just working like mad, give yourself some lead time. If you know you've got a class that straggles, give yourself maybe 3 weeks at the end to do entry creation. Just make sure you give yourself some time. Also, plan into your schedule school assemblies, field trips, holidays. Make sure that you're not missing important work days because of school activities. Once again, the Teacher Toolkit has lots of timeline ideas for you and syllabi ideas, so take a look at those. Okay, step 3, beg, borrow, and steal. This is my favorite advice to give to new teachers because National History Day has been around for so long. Here in Idaho, we've been doing it for 33 years. When you are a new National History Day teacher, there should not be a single thing that you're creating from scratch. At the Teacher Toolkit, I have so much for you. Lesson plans, grading rubrics, worksheets, handouts, so many ideas on each step of the process. So really, I can't encourage you enough to take a look at the Teacher Toolkit. If there's something that you are trying to find that you would like to do and it's not in the Teacher Toolkit, go and look at NHD.org or other NHD affiliates. Minnesota has the largest National History Day program. Wisconsin and California have really large programs. Go and check out their websites and see if you can find what you're looking for. You can find anything you need, and it just adds a lot of stress that first year if you feel like you're always having to come up with the next step, right? So let us help you. Beg, borrow, and steal from other teachers. We will be doing another webinar on the nuts and bolts of the research process and another webinar on research resources that are available to you. So stay tuned for those, and those should get you a lot more information too. Okay, step 4, find a mentor. There are a lot of teachers here in Idaho that have been doing National History Day for a long time, and they are always happy to mentor a new teacher. So if you are new and you would like a mentor, someone that you can bounce ideas off of, get feedback, get some experienced advice, let me know. Shoot me an email, and I would be happy to find a mentor for you. You're not in National History Day alone. It is a lot that first year to get going, but you're not doing it alone. My staff is here for you, so are other NHD teachers in the state, and the National History Day office at the University of Maryland in Baltimore are always there to help teachers too. So never feel like you're alone. There's always someone who you can reach out to for more help. Step 5, plan your assessment. Don't start National History Day until you know how you're going to make it a part of your assessment. In the Teacher Toolkit, I have several different rubrics for you that can help you grade your students. And I wanted to look at this one with you from National History Day in California. This is my favorite one. And what they've done is they took the judges' evaluation form and converted it into a grading rubric. So when judges are evaluating a National History Day project, they assign 60% of their score based on the historical quality. So this rubric has broken down what historical quality means. And assign 10% of your grade to your thesis, 10% to interpretation and analysis, 10% to context, and so forth. And then in each column, they've laid out what an exceptional, an excellent paper is like, a good paper, one that needs improvement, and one that's really lacking. then 20% of the grade and 20% of your score at the contest is the relationship to the theme, and then the organization and visual impact. And again, they've laid it out so clearly so that students really know how you're assigning the grade. And this is a really helpful way to grade students because it reinforces what they're being judged on at the contest, so they have very clear expectations in their mind of how they're being judged and how they're being graded, and those are the same. So if you have any questions about assessment, I have more rubrics in the teacher toolkit, and specifically that one from California that I really like. Okay, step 6, create a culture of recognition. And this might sound a little bit silly because they are going to contests and competing and receiving recognition there, but it can be really important to create that culture in your own classroom. It's so important when kids do this big of a project and this much work that they get to show it off to other people, that other people get to see it. A few ideas for how you can do this. One, this teacher created a wall of fame in her classroom. Every time a student advances in a contest, she puts their star in her wall of fame. And year after year, as they do National History Day, the kids can come and see their friends or older siblings on the wall, and it helps them feel like they're really a star for being successful at National History Day. Another idea that a teacher shared with me is that she does judging week. And the last week of National History Day in her classroom, she has the kids present their entry, and she invites her principal and vice principal, other teachers at the school, people from the community to come each day and give feedback to her students on how they did. And she said it was one of the best things that she ever did to get administrative support, because her principal came, saw what the kids were doing, and was like, what can I do to support this program at our school? This is just amazing, the work that your kids are doing. And then the kids get a chance to practice in front of community leaders before they get to the contest. Another teacher likes to do a parent night, and so her kids set up their entries, and they invite parents to come to their classroom, and the parents get to walk around and watch the documentaries and visit the exhibits, and the parents are absolutely blown away by the quality of the students' work, and then the teachers are all on board with helping their kids at the contest, getting them there, and they get to see the work that the teacher is doing in a way that is really unique. Because usually what parents see of your classroom is the attitude their kids have about it and their kids' standardized test scores, right? And the same with the community. That's pretty much the grade you get is how your kids do on their standardized tests. And you know that that's not an accurate reflection of what's happening in your classroom. Here's an opportunity to show off the work that your kids are doing. They get to stand in front of their entry and really show their depth of knowledge and the work that they've done and the passion that they have developed for their topic. So these are really awesome ways where you can engage your community, get support, but also create that culture where your students are being recognized for all of their hard work. My last advice for you is to just dive right in. I know it can seem a little bit intimidating to get started with National History Day, but because it's a project-based learning program and it's inquiry-led, the bulk of the work is on the students. You are their mentor and their guide, and that is a really rewarding way to teach, to be a mentor and a guide and a coach instead of dragging your kids through the research process. They are working their way through the process, and you are their mentor. There is so much support available to you here in Idaho to get going with National History Day. You have my help. My assistant, Kate Lang, is here as well. There are other National History Day teachers that can be a mentor to you. The NHD office in Maryland is really helpful. Like I said, you have regional coordinators you can reach out to, and you can go online and look at all the other NHD programs for help getting going. So thank you so much. If you made it all the way through this webinar, thank you for participating. And thank you for your interest in National History Day. This program is really rewarding for your students, and we're excited to have you join up with us. So thank you so much, and look for our next webinar about the nuts and bolts of the research process, and another webinar about research resources that are available to your students. Thank you very much.